Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. The stars shimmered coldly against the void, indifferent witnesses to the unfolding tension between two civilizations. It had been less than a year since the peace treaty was signed between Earth and the Zealer, an alien race known for their advanced technology and ruthless conquests. The treaty, hastily crafted and fragile, was the only thing standing between humanity and a war that could end in their annihilation. But both sides knew it was a temporary measure, a mere pause in the inevitable conflict that loomed like a shadow over the galaxy. On Earth, the mood was somber. The leaders of the United Earth government convened in secret, aware that the Zealer viewed the treaty as a means to buy time, not to secure lasting peace. In the hidden depths of Earth's military command, a group of top scientists and engineers worked tirelessly on Project Aegis, a new fleet of interstellar warships designed to defend humanity against the anticipated Zealer attack. These ships, unlike anything the world had seen before, were the result of years of innovation, born out of desperation and the need to ensure Earth's survival. Commander Evelyn Carter, a woman of steely resolve and unparalleled tactical genius, was chosen to oversee the final stages of the project. Her reputation as a battle-hardened leader, forged in the fires of countless skirmishes on the outer colonies, made her the ideal candidate. Yet, as she stood before the massive viewport of the secret shipyard orbiting Titan, her mind was filled with the weight of the responsibility that had been placed upon her. The warships, sleek, formidable vessels bristling with advanced weaponry and cutting-edge technology, were nearing completion. The engineers buzzed around the hangar like bees in a hive, finalizing the last details before the ships would be deployed. Carter's eyes traced the lines of the lead ship, the Dauntless, its name a testament to the spirit of humanity that had driven its creation. She knew the Zealer would strike soon. The signs were all there: unusual movements along the borders, intercepted communications that hinted at a grand plan in motion. The calm before the storm was palpable, and the only question that remained was when and where the first blow would land. As Earth's leaders deliberated in their war rooms, the Zealer prepared for their assault. On their homeworld, under the scarlet light of a distant sun, the alien leaders, a council of cold, calculating minds, finalized their strategy. Their confidence was born of centuries of conquest, their arrogance steeped in the belief that no race could stand against their might. Earth, to them, was just another planet to be subjugated, its resources to be plundered, and its people to be enslaved. The Zealer fleet, a vast armada of ships that blotted out the stars, assembled on the edge of human space. Their plan was simple: a swift, decisive strike to cripple Earth's defenses before they could respond. The outer colonies would be the first to fall, a show of force designed to send a message: resistance was futile. When the attack came, it was swift and brutal. Earth's outermost colonies, sparsely defended and ill-prepared, were decimated in a matter of hours. The Zealer ships descended like vultures, laying waste to cities, infrastructure, and lives. Panic spread like wildfire across the colonies as desperate pleas for help flooded Earth's communication channels. Commander Carter received the reports with grim determination. The moment she had feared had arrived, and there was no time to waste. The order came down from the highest levels: deploy the new fleet. The Dauntless and its sister ships, each named after virtues humanity held dear, were launched into the void, their engines roaring to life as they sped towards the battlefront. The first engagement was a test of fire. The Zealer, confident in their victory, were taken aback by the sudden appearance of these new, unknown vessels. The Dauntless, at the forefront of the formation, unleashed its arsenal with deadly precision. Energy beams, missiles, and experimental weapons designed to disrupt the Zealer's advanced shielding system struck with devastating effect. But the Zealer were no strangers to war. They adapted quickly, countering with their own formidable firepower. The battle raged across the stars, a symphony of destruction that echoed through the void. Carter, her mind sharp and focused, directed her fleet with surgical precision. The innovative tactics she had developed in the simulation rooms were now put to the ultimate test. The Dauntless took heavy damage, its hull scorched and battered, but it pressed on. Carter knew that this was more than just a battle for survival, it was a statement. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would fight, and they would prevail. As the battle dragged on, the tide began to turn. The Zealer, for all their might, were unprepared for the tenacity of the human forces. The new warships, with their advanced shielding and superior maneuverability, outflanked and outgunned their alien counterparts. Slowly but surely, the Zealer fleet began to falter, their formations breaking under the relentless assault. Carter seized the moment. "All ships, concentrate fire on their command vessel," she ordered, her voice calm but filled with resolve. The Dauntless and the other ships aligned their weapons, targeting the massive Zealer flagship that loomed at the center of the enemy fleet. With a coordinated barrage, they unleashed a torrent of destruction that tore through the Zealer defenses. The flagship exploded in a blinding flash of light, and with it, the Zealer's command structure disintegrated. The remaining alien ships, now leaderless and in disarray, began to retreat, their once unstoppable momentum shattered. But the battle was far from over. The Zealer, realizing they had underestimated humanity, regrouped for a final, desperate assault. They brought forth their most powerful weapons, designed to end the conflict in a single, decisive strike. Earth itself was now the target, and the stakes could not have been higher. The human fleet raced back to defend their home, their ships battered but unbroken. The final battle unfolded near Earth's orbit, a clash of titans that would determine the fate of the planet. The Zealer unleashed their full fury, and the Dauntless and its fleet answered in kind. The battle was a spectacle of destruction, with ships on both sides being torn apart in the crossfire. Earth's orbital defenses, bolstered by planetary weapons, joined the fray, adding their firepower to the desperate struggle. The atmosphere was thick with tension as the outcome remained uncertain. Carter's mind raced as she searched for a way to turn the tide. Then, in a moment of clarity, she saw it, a weakness in the Zealer formation, a gap in their defenses that could be exploited. "All ships, follow my lead," she commanded, as she maneuvered the Dauntless into position. With a daring move, she led her fleet through the gap, directly into the heart of the Zealer forces. The alien ships, caught off guard by the audacity of the maneuver, faltered. The human fleet struck with precision, their weapons finding their marks. One by one, the Zealer ships fell, until only a few remained. The battle, once so precarious, now leaned in humanity's favor. As the last of the Zealer ships was destroyed, a silence fell over the battlefield. The void, once filled with the sounds of war, was now eerily quiet. Earth had prevailed, but at a great cost. The wreckage of ships, both human and alien, drifted through space, a somber reminder of the price that had been paid. In the aftermath, Earth began to rebuild. The victory had come at a heavy price, with many lives lost and many more forever changed. But the triumph was undeniable. The Zealer, defeated and humbled, retreated to their territory, their ambition of conquest shattered. A new peace was brokered, one that was not based on fear, but on respect. The Zealer, having witnessed the resilience and ingenuity of humanity, now viewed them as equals rather than subjects. Earth, once a vulnerable planet on the edge of the galaxy, had earned its place among the stars. Commander Evelyn Carter, hailed as a hero, stood before the assembled leaders of Earth as they signed the new treaty. Her face, etched with the scars of battle and the weight of the lives she had commanded, remained stoic. She knew the road ahead would be difficult: rebuilding, healing, and ensuring that the mistakes of the past were not repeated. As she looked out over the crowd, she thought of the countless lives that had been lost, the sacrifices that had been made. The victory was theirs, but it had come at a great cost. Yet, in the midst of the destruction, there was hope. Hope that humanity had proven its worth, not just to the Zealer, but to themselves. The stars above, once indifferent, now seemed to shine a little brighter. Humanity, tested in the crucible of war, had emerged stronger. The galaxy was vast, and there would be many challenges ahead, but Earth was no longer alone. They had earned their place among the stars, and they would defend it with all their might. The journey was far from over, but for now, there was peace, a peace forged in the fires of war, and tempered by the resilience of the human spirit. The stars above Titan gleamed with a renewed sense of purpose, their distant light now symbolic of a galaxy that had witnessed humanity's triumph. In the shipyard orbiting the massive moon, the once bustling activity had quieted, replaced by the solemn work of repairs and reflection. The war was over, but the scars it left behind were deep and lasting. Commander Evelyn Carter stood at the helm of the Dauntless, now docked for extensive repairs. The ship that had led the charge against the Zealer forces was a shadow of its former self, its hull marred by the signs of battle, its systems strained to their limits. Yet, it had survived, much like the people who had fought within its metal walls. Carter's reflection stared back at her from the darkened viewport, her eyes tracing the jagged lines that now adorned the ship. She could still hear the echoes of the final battle, the cries of her crew, the thunderous roar of weapons fire, and the silent, devastating impact of each loss. But amidst the cacophony of memory, there was also the quiet, resolute voice of victory, a victory earned through sacrifice and unyielding determination. The intercom chimed softly, breaking the silence of the bridge. "Commander Carter, Admiral Hastings is on the line for you," came the voice of Lieutenant Grace, one of the few remaining original bridge crew members. "Patch him through," Carter replied, her voice steady as she turned away from the viewport. The screen flickered to life, revealing the familiar stern features of Admiral Thomas Hastings, Earth's highest-ranking military officer. "Commander," Hastings began, his tone as formal as ever, "I wanted to personally convey the gratitude of the United Earth government. Your leadership was instrumental in securing our victory. The Zealer retreat marks a turning point in our history." Carter nodded, acknowledging the praise without letting it settle too deeply. "Thank you, Admiral. But the credit belongs to the entire fleet. We all fought for the same cause, for the survival of our people." Hastings allowed a rare smile to touch his lips, though it was tempered by the weight of their shared experience. "Indeed. But it was your decisions, your strategies, that turned the tide. Earth owes you a great debt." A moment of silence passed between them, the unspoken acknowledgement of the price that had been paid hanging in the air. Carter finally broke the silence, her voice firm yet laced with the fatigue of a weary soldier. "What happens now, sir? The Zealer may have retreated, but we can't afford to be complacent. They'll be back, and we need to be ready." Hastings's expression grew more serious. "You're right. The Zealer may have been defeated, but they are not a broken enemy. We've entered a new phase of our relationship with them, one where mutual respect will hopefully prevent future conflicts. But we cannot let our guard down. The fleet will undergo extensive repairs and upgrades, and we will begin developing new technologies based on what we've learned from this war. Your experience will be invaluable in these efforts." Carter felt the weight of the responsibility settle on her shoulders once more. The war might have been over, but the battle for survival in a galaxy full of unknown threats was just beginning. "I'll do whatever it takes, sir," she replied, her resolve unshaken. We can't let our victory be in vain. That's what I expected to hear, Hastings said with a nod. Take some time to rest, Commander. You've earned it. But when you're ready, I want you to lead the next phase of our defense strategy. We're entering uncharted territory, and your insight will be crucial. Carter hesitated, the idea of rest almost foreign to her now. But she knew she needed it, not just for herself, but for her crew, who had followed her into the fire and back. Understood, Admiral. I'll be ready. Good, Hastings concluded. We'll talk again soon. And, Evelyn, thank you. The screen went dark, and Carter was left alone with her thoughts once more. She let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, the tension in her muscles slowly releasing. The bridge was quiet, the hum of the ship's systems a comforting background noise. It was in these moments of stillness that the true cost of war made itself known, the losses, the sacrifices, the empty spaces where comrades once stood. She walked across the bridge, her footsteps echoing softly in the near-empty room. The Dauntless was a warship, but to Carter and her crew, it was also home, a place where they had shared victories and defeats, laughter and tears. Now, it stood as a monument to their resilience, a testament to what they had endured and overcome. As she approached the exit, the door slid open with a quiet hiss, revealing Lieutenant Grace waiting just outside. The young officer looked up at Carter, her face a mix of exhaustion and pride. Commander, I've compiled the after-action reports you requested. And, the crew wanted me to tell you that they're ready for whatever comes next. Carter placed a hand on Grace's shoulder, offering a rare smile. Thank you, Grace. And thank the crew for me. They fought with everything they had, and they deserve to know that it made all the difference. Grace nodded, her eyes reflecting the unspoken bond that had formed between them all. Yes, ma'am. I'll make sure they know. Carter released her hold and stepped past the lieutenant, her mind already turning to the future. There would be time to mourn, to reflect on what had been lost, but there was also work to be done. The galaxy was vast, and humanity's place within it was still being carved out, one battle at a time. The corridors of the Dauntless were quiet as Carter made her way to her quarters. The ship, once bustling with activity, now felt almost serene, as if it, too, was taking a moment to breathe. The crew, those who had survived, were scattered across the ship, resting, repairing, and preparing for whatever came next. When she reached her quarters, Carter paused at the door, her hand hovering over the panel for a moment before she pressed it. The door slid open, revealing the small, functional space that had been her refuge during the war. She stepped inside, the door closing behind her with a soft click. The room was sparse, with only the essentials, a bed, a desk, a few personal items that reminded her of the world she fought to protect. On the desk lay a small holophoto, its image flickering softly in the dim light. It was a picture of her family, taken years ago on a rare day off. Her parents, her younger brother, all smiling, unaware of the trials that lay ahead. Carter reached out and picked up the photo, her fingers brushing against the smooth surface. They had been her anchor, her reason for fighting, and though she hadn't seen them in years, she knew they were safe. The thought gave her a small measure of peace, a reminder that the battle had been worth it. She placed the photo back on the desk and sat down on the edge of the bed, her body finally allowing itself to relax. The exhaustion, both physical and emotional, was overwhelming. She knew she needed rest, but her mind refused to quiet, replaying the events of the past days, the decisions she had made, the lives that had been lost. But there was also a sense of accomplishment, of having done what needed to be done. The Zealer had been pushed back, and Earth was safe, for now. It was a victory, hard-won and costly, but a victory nonetheless. As she lay back on the bed, Carter allowed herself a moment to simply exist, to breathe in the silence and the peace that had been so elusive. The future was uncertain, filled with new challenges and unknown threats, but she knew that whatever came, she and her crew would face it together. The stars outside her viewport continued to shine, indifferent yet beautiful, a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the small but significant role she played within it. Commander Evelyn Carter, the woman who had led humanity through its darkest hour, closed her eyes, letting the weariness take over. Tomorrow, she would rise again, ready to face whatever came next. But for now, she would rest, knowing that the battle had been won and that she had done her part. And in the quiet darkness of space, the Dauntless drifted silently, a beacon of hope and resilience in a galaxy that had seen the strength of humanity and would never forget it.